Hello, this is the first of several videos that are the bonus Week 13 lecture content that I promised. In this one I'm going to cover Mac Catalyst. So what is Mac Catalyst? Mac Catalyst was introduced last year with macOS Catalina, and it's basically a port of UIKit, that is the frameworks that we use for building iPhone apps, to macOS. And it can work on iOS apps, but it works much better with iPad apps that are multi-pane apps, like the Maps demo that we looked at in week 7. So basically it allows iPad apps to be compiled and run on macOS with minimal effort by the developer. We can click on this website and we will get a page for Mac Catalyst, and it'll talk you through the details and link you to session videos from last year's Worldwide Developer Conference, development guides, design guidelines, etc. So for example, the design guidelines, which are also linked on the slide we were just on, talk about some of the details of what you should and shouldn't do and how to make your apps more Mac-like. So look, there's many native Mac developers that take a lot of pride in making their apps Mac-like, and I will say that this first version of Mac Catalyst doesn't always do an excellent job of making the apps feel Mac-like. A number of apps are written in Mac Catalyst. So for example, the News app in Catalina, which I can drag over here now. This is actually a Mac Catalyst app. So it's an iPad app, and it's been compiled to run on Mac. So there are some things in here that you will see. Like if I swipe, you can see the sort of standard table view cell behavior. So while it's styled to look like like a Mac app, in places you'll still notice iOS things like iOS alerts and other things like that. Likewise, if we click on something, we can click on an article and you get back behavior, and you can see it's very much like a navigation stack, but with a different interface attached to it. So that's the idea behind Mac Catalyst, and we expect at the Worldwide Developer Conference next week that they'll probably advance it again, because that was only the first version last year, and we expect it to hopefully improve quite a lot. So what I'd like to do now is just show you a demo of what it looks like. So to do that, I just have here our completed week 7 lab. So I should just be able to run this on an iPad, and you should see what it looks like. Okay, so here was our iPad app. To remind you, I can kind of click on something here and it takes me right to the location, click on something else. I can tap here and allow to get my current location, and set a title, blah, 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 and set this and click save. Okay, so that was basically the app. If we want to turn this into a Mac app, it's actually really super easy. We just go into our project settings, and in our project settings here we have our different device types: iPhone, iPad selected by default, and Mac. So we literally just click this. When we do, we get a message here saying for Mac builds, this target and its dependencies will link or embed only Mac compatible content. So it's going to give you, there's some things that don't work on Mac basically. We'll just say enable, and it warns us there might still be source code changes. In this case, I get a new target here. So in addition to my iOS simulators, there's my Mac, and I can just build the app for my Mac. So I'm here, it is me building it. No, haven't touched the code at all. And it says it succeeded. So what does this look like? It says it's running. So I'm not sure if it's going to come up on this screen or my other one. So let me just see it launch. Okay, it's launching, and here's the app. Okay, so it's got an icon in my dock. You can see it looks like a sort of Mac app in places. It's got its interactive map still. I can still tap on one of these. It takes me to the pin. I can click on the other one. I can click plus here, set a new location. I can resize the window if I want. And you can see there's telltale iOS things, like the buttons don't look particularly Mac OS-like. Certainly the back button here. I can full screen it if I want to. One interesting thing here is we don't have the we don't have the set my current location button. So that's kind of interesting. And in fact, probably because I've run this demo before, it didn't ask me. So usually you would see a little dialog box up the top and say, do you want to use this location? If I have a look at this new location table view controller and set a breakpoint here and turn on breakpoints and just run this again and go in here, I hit this breakpoint, and if I have a look, I've made a small change here to the code, and I've added this bit in addition to what was in the lab exercise. So originally in the lab exercise, we requested authorization for location while the app was in use, and we checked whether or not we had this. If we didn't, we hid the button, and we if there was the authorization status was not determined, we requested it. But in this case, even if we request it and accept it, on macOS there's no such thing as in use. It turns out there's only authorized always. So even though, and I can probably step by a line here, and can I see this? Oh, we didn't actually stop on this breakpoint. Why was that? Or did I go past it already? I might have gone past it. Hold on. So here's us stopped here. If I step, my authorization status is authorized always, as you can see. So by putting this extra case in here, it causes the button not to be hidden, which it is hidden right now. And then as soon as I continue, the button is shown, and then I can use it, and it will enter the values in there. So that was the only change I needed to make this app run as under macOS as a Catalyst app. So that's a very simple demo of a one-click operation to potentially be able to take your app and make it run on macOS. And I've done this for my own iOS apps, and there were very minimal changes to get at least a working version. So that's pretty cool.